Critics don't hear the future, they hear the present and measure everything against it. In the 1970s, some songs didn't fail because they were weak. They failed because they arrived too early, sounding strange, excessive, or impossible to categorize. These are the records critics misunderstood. Songs once questioned, dismissed, or minimized that history later recognized as essential. Number 10. David Bowie. Life on Mars, 1971.
It's a god-awful small affair.
When Life on Mars was released in 1971, critics didn't know what to do with it. The lyrics felt surreal and disconnected. Cinema screens, sailors fighting, Mickey Mouse. The melody leapt unexpectedly, refusing predictable pop resolution, and Bowie's vocal performance sounded theatrical, almost exaggerated.
Now she walks through her sunken dream.
For many reviewers at the time, it was too much, too dramatic, too strange, too artificial to be taken seriously as rock. They heard excess. What they missed was control. Every chord change was deliberate. Every lyrical image served emotional dislocation, not nonsense. The drama wasn't decoration. It was the point.
She could spit in the eyes of fools.
Bowie was using pop music as narrative cinema, compressing alienation, media overload, and longing into a single performance. Time corrected the mistake. Today, Life on Mars is regularly cited among the greatest songs ever written, praised for its ambition, structure, and emotional precision.
Beating up the wrong guy. Oh, man.
Critics once asked if it was too theatrical. History answered, it was only ahead of its stage. Number 9. Lou Reed. Walk on the Wild Side, 1972.
Miami, FLA. Hitchhiked away across.
When Walk on the Wild Side appeared in 1972, it made critics uneasy. Not because of the music, but because of the people it described. The song moved slowly. The production felt almost lazy. The groove barely announced itself.
Hitchhiked away across USA.
For many reviewers, including a notably cold response from Rolling Stone toward the album Transformer, this restraint was read as weakness. But the real discomfort came from the lyrics. Drag queens, sex work, gender ambiguity, names lifted directly from Andy Warhol's Factory.
She says, hey babe, take a walk on the wild side.
This wasn't metaphor, it was documentation. Critics at the time treated the song as indulgent, even irresponsible. Too casual for such taboo subject matter, too unbothered by radio conventions. They missed the strategy. Lou Reed didn't sensationalize the underground. He normalized it.
Island. In the back room, she was there.
By wrapping marginalized lives in a calm, almost comforting arrangement, he forced radio to broadcast them without warning labels or dramatic framing. Time understood what critics couldn't. Walk on the Wild Side became Lou Reed's biggest hit, and one of the first mainstream songs to give quiet human representation to subcultures radio had never acknowledged.
Was James Dean for a day.
It wasn't rebellious because it shouted, it was revolutionary because it didn't. Number 8. Bee Gees, Stayin' Alive, 1977. By 1977, disco wasn't just popular, it was everywhere. And when the backlash came, Stayin' Alive became an easy target. During the Disco Sucks movement, critics dismissed the song as shallow, a product of overproduction, falsetto excess, and commercial calculation. For them, it symbolized everything that had gone wrong with popular music. They heard polish. They assumed emptiness. What they ignored was the architecture. The rhythm track was skeletal and relentless. The bass line was precise, almost mechanical, and the vocals, stacked, tense, urgent, carried more anxiety than joy. This wasn't escapism. It was survival music. The lyrics weren't about dancing. They were about endurance, moving forward under pressure, refusing collapse. Production-wise, Stayin' Alive was revolutionary. The use of looped drums, the minimalism, the refusal to soften the groove. Time stripped away the prejudice. Today, the song is recognized as a disco masterpiece, studied by producers, sampled across genres, and still powerful on modern systems. Critics once heard commercialization. History heard permanence. Number 7. Bruce Springsteen, Born to Run, 1975. When Born to Run arrived in 1975, admiration came with suspicion. Yes, the song was ambitious. Yes, it sounded enormous. And that was exactly the problem for some critics. They argued Springsteen was a marketing creation, a carefully packaged new Dylan, backed by a label determined to force significance where it didn't belong. The production didn't help his case. The mix was dense, the instruments collided, the sound felt overloaded, almost claustrophobic. To certain reviewers, this wasn't grandeur, it was excess. What they missed was intention. Springsteen wasn't chasing clarity, he was chasing motion. Every sax line, every pounding drum, every shouted phrase was meant to feel like momentum. Cars speeding at night, engines screaming, futures just out of reach. This wasn't wall of sound for spectacle. It was desperation made musical. Time proved the critics wrong. Born to Run is now recognized as one of the most poetic rock songs ever written, a defining statement of American longing, escape, and belief in forward motion. It didn't sell an image, it built a myth. Number 6. ABBA, Dancing Queen, 1976. In the mid-1970s, liking ABBA wasn't controversial. Admitting they were great was, rock critics at the time dismissed ABBA as plastic pop, overproduced, lightweight, engineered for mass appeal with no artistic depth. They were treated as a punchline by elite music media, music to be enjoyed secretly but never respected publicly. Dancing Queen was the ultimate example. Too polished, too joyful, too flawless to be taken seriously. What critics heard as emptiness was actually precision. Every harmony is measured, every chord change is intentional. The rhythm lifts without rushing, and the melody floats with emotional clarity that never begs for attention. This wasn't accidental pop, it was architecture. ABBA combined European classical sensibility, disco rhythm, and studio discipline into a structure that feels effortless only because nothing is out of place. Time dismantled the snobbery. Today, Dancing Queen is universally recognized as one of the most perfectly arranged and produced pop songs ever recorded, studied, covered, and still undefeated on dance floors worldwide. Critics once laughed. History learned to listen. Number 5. Black Sabbath, Paranoid, 1970. In the early 1970s, critics didn't just misunderstand Black Sabbath, they despised them. Reviewers described the band as crude, noisy, and unintelligent, music without sophistication, built on volume instead of ideas. Paranoid became the prime exhibit. It was short, it was fast, it had no poetic metaphor to hide behind. To critics raised on blues tradition and progressive complexity, this sounded like regression. What they failed to hear was purpose. The riff was blunt because the message was blunt. The tempo was urgent because the subject was mental collapse. There was no romance here, only pressure. Paranoid wasn't about rebellion. It was about anxiety, isolation, and internal noise. Time reframed everything. What once sounded primitive became foundational. That stripped-down aggression defined the core language of heavy metal. From speed to tone to attitude, entire genres were built on this template. Critics heard chaos. History heard a beginning. Number 4. Sex Pistols, Anarchy in the UK.
I am an antichrist.
1976. When Anarchy in the UK exploded in 1976, critics didn't analyze it. They rejected it outright. Mainstream reviewers dismissed the song as talentless noise. 3 chords, shouted vocals, no musicianship to speak of. To them, it was provocation without substance, a cheap publicity stunt built to offend rather than endure. They missed the context. This wasn't about musical elegance. It was about collapse. The guitar tone was deliberately crude. The rhythm barely held together. Johnny Rotten's sneer wasn't lack of control. It was accusation. Anarchy in the UK didn't offer solutions. It announced refusal. In a Britain weighed down by unemployment, class stagnation, and institutional decay, the song gave voice to frustration critics were insulated from.
It's coming sometime, maybe.
Time did what reviews couldn't. The record ignited the punk revolution and permanently altered British culture, fashion, language, politics, and attitude. It wasn't meant to sound good. It was meant to sound honest. Critics heard noise. History heard rupture. Number 3. David Bowie, Heroes, 1977.
I wish I could swim.
When Heroes was released in 1977, it didn't feel triumphant. It felt distant. Recorded in Berlin with Brian Eno, the song stripped away pop warmth in favor of atmosphere. The production was stark, the emotion restrained, the structure repetitive, almost hypnotic. For some critics, this was alienating. They saw the Berlin experiments as cold, intellectual, and difficult to connect with. The song didn't dominate charts. It didn't chase immediacy. What they missed was scale. Heroes wasn't trying to overwhelm. It was trying to endure. The power comes from repetition. The way the vocal grows gradually. The way hope is stretched thin but never released. This isn't a victory anthem. It's a promise made under pressure. Time transformed the song. Today, Heroes is recognized as an anthem of human resilience, played at moments of remembrance, protest, and unity across generations. Critics once heard detachment. History heard courage held together by will alone. Number 2. Queen, Bohemian Rhapsody, 1975.
In a landslide, no escape from reality.
In 1975, many critics didn't just doubt Bohemian Rhapsody. They mocked it. A 6-minute song with no chorus, operatic sections stitched to hard rock, lyrics that refused explanation. Time magazine famously dismissed it as artificial junk. While others laughed at the operatic theatrics, certain radio would never touch it. By industry logic, they were right.
Up to the skies and see.
Radio demanded simplicity, short run times, clear formats. Queen ignored all of it. What critics called indulgence was actually discipline. Every section was precisely arranged, every vocal layer engineered with obsessive care. The operatic excess wasn't parody. It was commitment, and audiences understood immediately. Listeners didn't need permission to follow the song's emotional logic. They felt it. Radio adapted, charts surrendered, the rulebook burned. Today, Bohemian Rhapsody stands as one of the most iconic and best-selling songs in history. A record that proved ambition could be popular, and that complexity didn't scare people away. Critics heard a joke. Number 1. Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven, 1971.
All that glitters is gold.
When Stairway to Heaven first appeared, its reputation wasn't inevitable. In fact, Rolling Stone dismissed Led Zeppelin 4 as boring and unoriginal, criticizing the band for excess, for stretching ideas too far, for indulging themselves. To some reviewers, this song was everything wrong with rock ambition: too long, too gradual, too self-serious. They wanted immediacy. Zeppelin chose patience.
Makes me wonder.
Stairway to Heaven wasn't built to impress instantly. It unfolded, Acoustic to electric, whisper to eruption, restraint to release, each section exists to justify the next. What critics called indulgence was structural logic, a composition that trusted the listener to stay. Time did the rest. The song became unavoidable, played endlessly, studied obsessively, referenced until cliché, yet never diminished. Today, Stairway to Heaven stands as the gold standard of rock music, a benchmark for scale, dynamics, and emotional architecture. Critics once heard boredom. History heard inevitability.